Okay, Derek. You described your work in entertainment as an assignment rather than a pursuit of fame. Can you share what that means to you and how it shapes the choices you make as a creator?
Absolutely. Everybody, they want to be in the entertainment business. They really seeking fame or fortune, and that's fine. I only want to be famous at the bank. I want them, when I come in the bank, Mr. Muhammad writes his way, they have champagne for me, cocktails, whatever. That's what I want, famous at the bank. Because the thing about fame is fleeting. Whoever gives you that fame can take it away. And we've seen that happen with a lot of our great entertainers, going back as far as with Bill Cosby, O.J. Simpson, right now P. Diddy, R. Kelly, and they were crowned to be famous. So my whole thing is, with that, my assignment is really not to be famous. It's actually empowerment. It's actually encouragement. I read a book a long time ago called, right before I did Gale The Storm, called Empire of Its Own, How the Jews Built Hollywood. And when I read that, I saw how they created the whole Hollywood industry, from Broadway to music to film and television. And it is an industry. It is 100 years old. And people came through, they prospered. But in our life, as black people, we always been on the bottom rung of that. So I tell myself that my assignment, having know that and not chasing the popularity of being about the Hollywood industry, but it's about building your own industry, your own storytelling. Because we're the creators of it all anyway. We're the original griots, right, the storytellers, right? With that being said, and me having this awareness and this consciousness of it, I told myself I want to build my entertainment company, my production company, and eventually a studio at one point, to cater to our needs, to tell our stories without outside influences, with outside help. Now, I don't mind if they come to help with our best interest in mind, but not with what we see right now. And there's no shade on what they got going on, but I think we could do a much better job. So I look at it as an assignment more so of me pursuing a position or a job. You understand?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, Youngstown, Ohio is known for its grit and resilience. How did growing up there influence your approach to storytelling and the types of characters you bring to life?
Wow, it's interesting because, I come from my mom and my dad was just hardworking people. My dad worked in the mill. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until until the mills closed down. She had to go work at a nursing home as a nurse's aide. But, I've always
had
my
mom worked in a nursing home.
Oh, that's wild, right?
She was an LPN. Yeah, she was an LPN working in a nursing home for years.
God bless her. So having all that, I had always had an imaginative mindset, and I was allowed to play to myself. I had two sisters. I was the oldest and only boy. But, whatever I seen on TV, I would always want to capture that. So, but there was no art programs in Youngstown. They had the Playhouse, but I never knew nothing about that or even going into plays. There was maybe some church plays. I might have a small role in, but nothing specific. But just growing up in that tough, gritty town, and I played sports and made my bones playing sports and in the neighborhood and being, known in the city as, a solid, cool dude. But I always had this passion, especially when Spike Lee came out, to do something like that. And then that's when I realized I wanted to do film, but I just didn't know how to go about it. But Youngstown grit and the toughness of that area, plus it's a gray area. The sun only shines probably 3 times a year. 3 months out of the year, everything else is gray and rainy and cold. But I love history. I love history. I love geography. I would watch TV. I would see California on TV all the shows on TV with the palm trees and the beach and the ocean. So when I got to the Navy and I saw that, and I knew all about geography, I know every place. That was fascinating to me. And traveling is one of the key things. So I equate Youngstown to Krypton. If you can make it out of Youngstown, you can make it anywhere. You just have to leave Krypton and go to another planet and become Superman. So that helped me have my grit and my tenacity to pursue this career I'm on. And my mindset is anything I put my mind to, I'll do it. I just have to research and figure out, as long as I have the talent and the know-how to go about doing it. Now, I ain't trying to hang no drywall. That ain't my thing. I ain't trying to change no brakes. That ain't my thing. But storytelling, that I can do that.
Okay. You've worn so many hats: filmmaker, actor, author, manager. Which role challenges you the most, and which one do you find the most rewarding?
You know, all of them have its challenges because even as an actor, you go on auditions and you get a no. You get no more times than you get a yes, so that's challenging. I've done stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is the most difficult, I say, position in the entertainment business because you have to make people laugh that you don't know. And you have to find a funny bone. And let me tell you something. I remember when I started doing stand-up, I started in 2009, and I had a buddy that had a comedy club there. And I would open up before the top comedians come in, working on my craft. And one night I got a guest spot at the Funny Bone, which is a big-time comedy club around the country. And the Funny Bone on Thursday nights had Black Night. So all the top black comedians would come. It would be sold out. And I had a guest spot, but the mistake I made was not being on stage for 2 weeks and being ill-prepared. And I got up there in 30 seconds and got booed off stage. It was the worst humiliating thing I ever experienced in my life. People knew me, booed me. People didn't know me, booed me. Girls I messed with, booed me. Girls I wanted. Oh, it was the worst experience, but yet the best experience. Because one thing it taught me was this is a serious craft. You can't wing it. You can't fluff it. You got to know your stuff, or you will get humbled and embarrassed, if not destroyed. So it took me 6 months to get back on stage. But in that 6-month period of time, I ended up getting a book a friend of mine gave me called The Comedy Bible, and I read the formula on how to tell a joke. And I went back slowly but surely and would work my 5-minute sets until I built my confidence up. And before I left Columbus, I probably was one of the top comedians in the city because I could go do a white room, a black room, a corporate room. I could do clean comedy. And that gave me all the necessary. But I would go 4 or 5 nights a week to work, like Seinfeld. They say he would do stand-up 7 nights a week. I was doing that 5 nights a week, anywhere I could go. And I was getting booked, and I was doing colleges and stuff like that. So that, what I would say, is a very challenging thing. As far as filmmaking, every aspect of filmmaking is challenging, from creating a script, building the cast, to getting the funds together, for production, for pre-production, for post-production, for actually distribution, because I have access to distribution. I got to find out which distributor or licensing project is going to be best fit for the bottom line to get the return on the investment. So a lot of that is difficult. Talent management, mercy. Managing an artist is difficult because you got a career in your hands. And it requires a lot of planning, a lot of networking, and relentlessness. Sometimes I'll call or send emails out daily to people to book Karyn. And Karyn is really banging right now, but it was a point in time before I took over that her work was slow. But I just was aggressive with it. And we made a lot of strides, and we strategically planned to bring a career and get her shows up. We got her off of track shows with a band, and now she's just killing it. So we work well together, but that's very challenging in its sense because you got to make sure you get the right promoter. You know, make sure they have the bread, make sure the contract's in place. So this is what I tell anything that has value has struggle attached to it. Struggle is ordained, you know, and as long as you're willing to learn from it, to overcome it, you're going to make mistakes, but you can't dwell on that. You got to fix them, you record them, and you don't go back to them. And with that mindset and with that aggressiveness, and also being able to be humble enough to listen and take advice from others, the right advice, though. You don't take advice from people less qualified than you, unless you just look on what not to do, you know. But with that being said, you know, all of it is challenging. You know, it's a lot, but I'm up for it. I make no apologies for my failures. I learn from my failures. They're just stepping stones to create more of a experience along the way and fuel for my fire. Because you can be inspired, right? You can be motivated, but more importantly, you got to be in discipline, because discipline have you do the hard stuff. To get up in the morning, to make those calls, to accept the rejection, to overcome all obstacles in your path. So when you're disciplined like that, you will be standing by yourself late at night figuring it out. And then with me, I always begin with the end in mind, and no just never means no. It just means not right now, because I'm a professional salesman. So I'm okay, not right now. Move on, and we always move on. We pivot, and we end up, you know, overcoming it and making the best out of any situation. We turn lemonade into lemon. Oh, lemons into lemonade. Let me rephrase that.
I know what you mean.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Gale the Storm was a great movie, by the way. Was a true indie project with you directing, writing, producing, and starring. What was the biggest lesson you learned from juggling so many responsibilities on one film?
You know, okay, so when Karyn and I decided to make Gale the Storm, we co-wrote it together. But one of the things we did was, before we even put pen to paper, we knew we had all our locations for free. She had a relationship with our manager, Jay King, in Sacramento. So we knew we had a restaurant, a coffee spot, a radio station, and a nightclub. So I knew I had, and also a record store, right? So we knew, so we had wrote all these particular scenes in the locations we had for free. Then we rented an Airbnb, but prior to that, we used 2 college students who had won some awards as crew. So they were my DP, my sound, they were the lighting, as well as editing, because they won some awards. They had all the equipment. So we paid them a flat fee. We all loaded up from Atlanta, us 4. It was 2 of them, me and Karyn, and we went to SAC. We had a person on the ground there who was a videographer and a director herself. She was our first AD, as well as our line producer, and she had a PA, one of her friends. And so it's a 5-person crew. One of the things I learned about it is you have to plan. And even with the planning, stuff always goes wrong. So one of the times when the restaurant didn't come through, we pivoted and we was like, okay, we got an Airbnb, which we stayed in. We just moved the furniture around and shot it in there. We had a scene with Julian in his hotel room. I just framed his shot in the corner of the house with a chair and a desk, and we shot it. Scene when Hannibal pulled into his garage, we shot that in the garage with Airbnb. I mean, we used every aspect of that Airbnb. And we used, you know, a lot of just guerrilla style tactics, man. It was pivotal. And even it rained there, the sun came out, we used all the elements, because my whole thing was I wanted to make sure that we controlled every aspect of it. So I can't control outside what it's going to do outside, but we used the rainforest for our texture and character of the movie, you know.
Okay. As Karyn's manager and creative partner, what's the dynamic like behind the scenes, and how do you two inspire and push each other's creativity?
Man, wow, that's so great question. Well, we got common goals. We all want to win first and foremost. And we have to have set a certain standard. Now, me being a guerrilla filmmaker, she'd be like, "Look, Derrick, you need to add more production to it because I'm just not going to do just any old thing. I have a standard, I have a high quality and a brand that she's building." So she told me a lot of times we have to slow down and make sure everything looks good and everything is solid, which I need that myself. Because one thing about independent film, it can look, it can look like an independent film. So with Gale The Storm, we shot it for a small, micro budget, but people thought we spent a whole lot of money on it. And we did not, because of the character and the set decoration and the wardrobe. It's a lot of people wore their wardrobe, but we had to style to tell people what to wear. I mean, it's so many dynamics in that. As far as pushing each other, we have a common thing with what we're going to do, what goals we're going to set, and how we're going to meet that. So we'll have meetings. And we're straight up brutally honest, especially her. Karyn do not play. She lets you know what time it is. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't got to guess with her because she worked with nothing but the greats. Like I said before, she worked with Babyface and L.A. Reid, Hall of Fame songwriter, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. She used to be married to Terry Lewis, Hall of Fame songwriter.
I never knew that.
Yeah, Vinny Medina from the Fresh Prince was at A&R. Larkin Arnold, who negotiated Michael Jackson's Thriller contract and brought Marvin Gaye back and Sade to Warner Brothers, was her manager. Clarence Avon, the Godfather, was involved. Al Heyman, King of Boxing, who ran the Super Cruise, put her on the Bobby Brown tour. I mean, and then she started with Don Cornelius on Soul Train because she sang background for O'Brien when she was 17. Karyn wrote a song for Stephanie Mills, her and Robert Brookins. She took the money, invested it in a demo instead of going shopping and buying a car, and that's how her tape got to Justin Lorber, and the rest is history. So she has the epitome of greatness, and now since she came back, she uses all her experiences and her high level of expectation and work ethic to build her brand independently with her label, with her film company, and her partnership. So we're really excited about,
I'm so excited to be working with y'all because I have literally loved Karyn White since I was in third grade. Superwoman came out when I was in third grade, and I fell in love with that song. And I have always, that's like my anthem. Like everybody I know, all my girlfriends, that's our anthem. And to be working with y'all is like the greatest achievement in my life right now.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That's full circle. It's something about alchemy, right? If you put something out in the universe and you're on that path, it has a tendency to circle back to you, and you end up meeting people that I'm like my life right now. I'm a seasoned man. I don't even want to go into how old I am, but I lived several centuries and 2 millennials. So with that being said, now I have relationships with people that I had their CDs or their tapes, and they get my phone, they call me, and we friends. It's so humbling and surreal when I see some people and they call me by name, and I'm like, damn, man, this person on TV, or I had this album, or they'll, ask me, question, or we just laughing and kicking it. I mean, it's just really surreal. But one thing I had to tell myself is that I don't think about imposter syndrome, where people say, well, I'm an imposter. I believe I'm supposed to be here. I'm here for a reason. I worked hard. I had dreams. I had aspirations. I worked to get it. I had some blessings or lucky breaks. But in that opportunity, I was prepared. And see, success is when opportunity meets. When preparation meets opportunity, that's success. You be prepared so when the opportunity comes, you're there. and I can account on that. Many times in my life where I was prepared, and there's been times where I was ill prepared, like when I got booed from the comedy store, Funny Bone. I wasn't prepared, but I went back and I knew how you got to be prepared for when that time comes. When somebody, if you're a singer, somebody say sing a song, you ready. You ain't talking about I need to get some throat lozenge, I need to have my teeth. You got to be ready. You're a rapper, spit them rhymes. You're an actor, do your monologue.
That's right.
Make your sales pitch on your story, your 30-second elevator pitch where nobody get bored and it's ready. Be prepared. That's the total thing. Because if you prepare and you're confident, that's going to come through. It might not happen then. But who knows? It may take root and come back a year later. Somebody talk about you in a meeting and somebody say, well, let me meet that person. You never know what's going to come from. Catch that lightning in a bottle. But I tell you one thing for certain, two things for sure. If you do nothing, nothing will happen. That's for sure. That's mathematics.
That's true. That's true. Okay. You're known for making micro-budget films with big impacts. What's your secret to turning limited resources into powerful stories on the screen?
Well, let me qualify that. I will be known for making micro-budget films with big impact. I got one feature film out. I got a short film, but I got a plethora of other films in development right now. But the key ingredient to saying that is that, first of all, you got to have some confidence and you got to know your target audience. Like, I know I got a limited resource, so I can't have car chases and a building blow up. You know, I can't have too many of that. So it's a creative approach. For me, creatively, you got to understand what tools you got from the actor, from the story, from the location, and how you tell that story, how it's told. And you can tell the story several different ways, you know, and that's where the creative part come into play, along with using whatever resources you got. I made mention of Robert Rodriguez, who did Spy Kids, and he's known for Desperado. And his first film was that was huge with El Marachi, which he shot for $7,000 in Mexico, and he only did it to make $25,000 in the Mexican market, in the Mexican video market. So when he shot it, but this is how he got the money. He donated his body to science for 30 days to get $7,000.
Wow.
So he went for 30 days, donated his body for science. Oh my God! What? Took the money. Went and shot his movie by himself, had an old camera, didn't have no crew. He was the cameraman, the director, the writer, the cinematographer, the gaffer, the sound man, all of that by himself. He had access to a small town, which he had to borrow. He had a school bus to which he was allowed to use in the summertime, right? He had a old guitar case because he played guitar, and he had some old prop guns with squids. And he shot his movie, and when it was seen by Columbia Pictures, they took it because he said, well, you know, I could do it over, y'all give me the money. They said, no, we'll take it as is. He ended up winning Sundance, and he made $7 million, and he was the darling. Wow. And now Robert Rodriguez has most of all the credits from cinematographer. He owns his own channel, El Rey, and he's a beast.
I didn't know he owned the El Rey. I watch that every once in a while.
Yeah, he owns that channel. So he is bona fide. But I say all that to say, when I read that, what he said, use what you got, you got to use what you got. You got to use what you got. So it's a creative process, and that comes with talent and vision. Because everybody want to be famous, but nobody want to put in the work.
The work, that's right.
The work, you know.
And it's a lot of work.
Fame is fleeting. It's a lot of work, and there's some setbacks involved, but you got to be able to endure. And if you can endure and you got enough endurance and you can overcome, there's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it, for sure.
Yes. Okay, can you walk us through your creative process? How does an idea go from spark to script to finished film in your world?
Man, and I write actually films for me, films I want to see. I ain't gonna even lie, I'm a little selfish with that. What has not been seen? And I hear this from the greats like Scorsese. He'll say, write the movie that has not been seen. Okay, what do I want to see? What do I want to convey? That goes along with my mission statement. So I'll have an idea, and then I flush it out on paper, like usually I'll have the beginning, and then I'll have how I want it to end. And I just got to meet it in the middle and make it make sense. And depending upon how I'm going to make it, because I'll have several different budgets. Say you got a $20,000 budget, $50,000, $100,000. I'm never going to go over $1 million, because if I had $1 million, I'd put it in the bank right now and live off the interest. So I'm not making nothing.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Somebody was like, Derrick, I need $5 million to make my script. I said, $5 million I'm gonna put in the account, and I'll make I'll take $500,000 and make $50,000 movies to get another $5 million. So that's the math on that. But this is me. So the creative process goes, it depends on what story you want to convey, what stories you want to tell. There's so many ways to go about it. No one does the thing the same way. I work with a lot of directors, and they all make movies different. I make mine different. I think different, and that's great. The whole thing with me is you should study film, you should study your craft, and know how to tell that story. Because a lot of people can shoot, but it might not make sense. I've seen a lot of films look good. They look good, but it don't make no sense. The blocking be off. I seen a girl on Tubi. She came in there with the flashlight in the broad daylight with the gun. I'm like, why she got a flashlight on with a gun and his lights is on? Come on, man. In the
broad daylight.
I see somebody being cast as a therapist, and she had purple hair. Like, who let Auntie be the psychiatrist in this scene when she got purple hair? At least put a hat on. I don't know. Change your wig out, baby. Make it make sense. So it's a combination of things. And if you're going to be in this game and you're going to compete, study where the masters are. Study what Hollywood's done. You ain't got to be like them, but study how they are successful, because they are successful at making film. They are successful. They're masters at it, and master it, learn the rules, and know how to break the rules. There you go.
Okay. That's some good advice. All right. You've got several new projects in the pipeline, like Peg for Murder and Blood Debt. What excites you most about these upcoming films, and what can fans expect?
Man, okay, Peg for Murder is a psychological thriller. And just to give you a brief synopsis, it's like 5 guys wake up into a locked room they can't get out. It's booby trapped. And they've been drugged with a toxin. And they got to play a game of homicide or suicide. And the last man standing get the antidote based on the crime that they committed years ago. And so it's really a psychological thriller dealing with revenge, dealing with AI, dealing with narcissism, and
I love
war.
AI.
Yeah. So now Blood Debt is really like a mild manner. Well, the guy's retired contractor, but they didn't know the kind of contractor work he did was he was a hitman for the government, a former military soldier. So he settles down with a woman, and her teenage son, his stepson, gets caught up with some cartel stuff, and it threatens the family and the friends of the family with his buddies. So he has to break out his skill set to save the family and save the family and correct the wrong and put his stepson on the right track. Blood Debt.
That sounds interesting.
So I'm excited about that. Right.
I'm a big movie fan too.
Oh yeah.
I'm one of those people that have like 300 DVDs, like,
Oh, wow.
and I still buy DVDs. Yeah, I'm a collector, and I have CDs as well. Like, I still buy the physical thing. Like, it's got to be physical for me. It can't be digital.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that's right. You know, you like what you like. You're what is it, a connoisseur of film, you know.
Yeah,
They call
film
it a
and
cinephile.
music, of both. My
Yeah.
dad, he instilled it in me. Like, I just love it ever since I was a kid. I was in the talent show singing Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All when I was in third grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And
Yes.
that's beautiful that you have a magazine and a podcast that showcase the love and passion that you have for film and music.
Yes. That's the idea.
Right.
I love what I do.
Yeah, and the love of what you do is not work; it's a passion. So you don't
Mm-mm.
mind staying up late and getting up early.
That's right. I don't.
Yeah, because I remember having a job where at Sunday at 2:00 I would get depressed, and I hated going to work the next day. And do you know most men die on Sunday afternoon of a heart attack or
Oh,
stroke
no.
because they hate their job and they got to go to work the next day. Plenty men.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Don't want to get too depressed.
Right.
The entertainment industry is always evolving. How do you keep your work relevant and stay inspired in such a fast-changing landscape?
You know, one of the beautiful things is you do have to find out what's the trends are in this business. I mean, years ago it used to be, like you said, written VHS tapes, you know, or DVDs, right? Now it's streaming, you know, and with the advent of all these platforms, I remember when I came up, there was only 3 channels on TV. Now, I'm old, you know, and TV went off at 1:00 in the morning. They go fuzzy, and then they play the national anthem.
The national anthem,
Yeah, you can watch TV 24/7. They got channels for everything from fishing to cooking to auto racing to sports, everything, fashion. So,
yes,
in my opinion, there's so many different aspects of business, from documentary work to narrative work to television to reality TV. You have to find that niche. But whatever niche you're going to embark upon, I always tell people, find a show that you like, or a movie that you like, or a director that you like, or actor that you like, and study that, if that fits your genre or where you want to go into. And once you figure that out, find a way where you can incorporate your formula or create a formula to put your piece together. And if you can do that, you can win. YouTube is the biggest channel on the planet. I mean, really, truth be told. YouTube, this guy's on YouTube making $1 million, $100,000 a year, or sometimes a month, doing what they doing, curating to rap or to fashion or to food or to exercise, whatever. So whatever you choose to do that, but study it. And if you use technology right, you can win. You know, it's like a shovel. You can use a shovel to plant a tree to bear you fruit, or you hit somebody in the head with it and send them to the morgue. How you use it too. Up to you. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
For aspiring filmmakers, actors, and creatives listening today, what's the one piece of wisdom you wish someone had shared with you when you were just starting out?
Oh, man, to study the game, study the craft, not only from the artistic and creative side, but from the business side. Because it's 2 things. It's show, business, entertainment, business. It's a business, especially if you want to make money, make a living. Now, I know some people just want to do it as a hobby, and that's cool too. So you just reach, I can't cop it, ain't mine to have. However, if you want to make a living, which you can and people have and people are, then study the business side. Make sure that you own your IP, or if you license it, get your money up front. Because this business has been known to exploit people and cheat people legally. They got predatory
Mm.
distributors out there that will take your project and say, oh, we're going to have it for 5 to 7 years, but after that time, we'll pay you, and you can get it back. And they give you a small fee, if any, up front. And that right there is predatory. You know, I've seen it happen. I'm not, you know, because I'm a businessman as well, so I'm not, you know, engaged in that, but I try to instill in the other filmmakers, like, all money ain't good money. If you spent 10, 50 grand on a movie, 100 grand on a movie, you at least need to get that money back up front before you sign your rights over, because they never going to give you money on the back end. They're going to always find a way to say, oh, we had to do this with marketing, or this with advertising, or these kind of fees, which good, but it ain't always like that. And they're going to own your piece, if anything. You know, people tell you they want to go to Netflix. Well, if you go to Netflix, get all your bread up front. Get all your money up front and have you a deal where you can be comfortable with. Know your number. What number works for you, where you're able to make another film and make some profit? You know, I say right now the best black business filmmaker is Tyler Perry, because he has a fan base that he created from his plays. He owns his own studio. He writes his own stuff. So he has deals with Amazon. He got deals with Netflix. He got deals with BET. So he can say, okay, I'm going to make this movie. I'm going to shoot in 4 days, which it looked like he shot in 4 days. And he's going to get anywhere maybe from $20 to $40 million. The budget may only cost him $5 million, $6 million. He paid Taraji or something, maybe at $1 to $2 million, whatever. I don't know all the numbers. Mm-hmm. But he's pocketing anywhere from. He paid him good.
Better than the other
right. But he
people,
paid a star good, but his cast and crew might not get paid as much. Nevertheless, they get paid. And however he do it, that's on him. No shade. Because he's the GOAT right now. He's somewhere I would like to aspire as far as the financial side of it. I would love to be in alignment with that financial side. You know, and I tell the story. I went to AF Film, American Film Market, in 2022, and I was in a room, this panel the NAACP had, and Erica Alexander from Living Single, and at that time she was getting ready to be up for an Oscar for a role she had. Okay. And she was on the panel, and the Harvard report was being discussed, which is a report that Harvard had about Hollywood leaving $10 billion on the table by not catering to the black community. So people in the room was like, oh, man, that's messed up. But me, I was like, shit, you mean tell me this $10 billion sitting somewhere with no door and I can get all I can carry? Oh, shit, sign me up for that operation. I can run.
No, that's right.
I don't need all $10 billion. I'll take a cool $100 million. You know what I mean?
That's
Whatever.
how I am. I'm not greedy.
Well, my whole point is there's opportunity. There's opportunity. And what I'm saying by saying all of that, Tyler, he got part of that $10 billion because he caters to the black community. He caters to his fan base. And that's the reason why when he come out on Netflix, it's going to be number one. Why? Because he has a strong, supportive core audience that's going to watch it, regardless if it's good or not. It's going to watch it, and they're going to support it. And with that being said, if you have that mindset, if you have that business acumen, you can go far. And you know, that's where we aspire to be.
Okay. Well, Derrick, it's been amazing talking to you today. I hope you enjoyed the interview.
I did.
That's wonderful.
I absolutely did. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate the article you wrote of me and giving me the cover on this July's edition of Dyme Squad Magazine. People was like, Dyme Squad? I was like, yeah, Dyme, Dyme, baby.
Yeah. They better recognize someone Google me.
yeah, I really appreciate that, and thank you for all your kindness and support. I really do. And that article was beautiful. I'm getting a lot of rave reviews on what you put together on A Piece of Mind, and it's probably my best to date. And the best is yet.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.